Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Please download my latest ebook.
Good evening, everyone. This is Calvin Russell, CEO and founder of 850 Club Credit Consultation. Hope everyone is doing well today. Today, we're going to talk about 3 signs that it's time to file bankruptcy. Okay, I'm not an advocate of bankruptcy, but I do know that there are times when it actually makes more sense to do it than to not do it. And but mostly what I see, especially with a lot of people that send me emails and questions and things of that sort, even with some of my clients, that I've dealt with. I have over 400 clients that I help improve their credit scores. My clients are averaging 20 to 25 points a month. I help people when they're in the middle of a bankruptcy as well too. You could be in the middle of a chapter 7 or 13, and I can still help you improve your credit score. So, but either way, these are usually 3 signs of when it's time to actually file for bankruptcy. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. The number one sign that it's time to file for bankruptcy, of course, is if you lose your job. Usually job loss can be easily recovered, but at the same time, it's the time that it's going to take in order for to get things pretty much back in motion. Especially because, number one, there's no income. So if there's no income coming in, and that's going to play a huge role as to when you're going to pay your bills, the time that you pay them. Are you going to start getting behind? I'll give an example. If you're always, I won't say, of course, if you are always late, but I'll give an example is that if you lose your job and then you start to become more than 30 days late on your car note each month, and now you're going into that 5th month, now think about it. You have 5 late payments on your credit report. And again, that means that the other bills may be starting to get late as well. It may be just something to consider because, again, there's no income to actually pay for that. Now, I'm not saying that you can't turn around and find a job, right away, but sometimes it takes people a longer time, especially if you if you're requesting a certain type of salary, but again, if your salary is, under, let's say 25,000, it's probably a little bit quicker to find a job like that because, again, those jobs are, I won't say easier to find, but it's more of those jobs that's going to have that income, that gross income around 25,000 or less. When you start getting into that 50,000, 6-figure range, things of that sort, it may take some time. It may take a couple months or so, so it may be something to consider. But normally when I see a lot of people filing bankruptcy, there's a huge loss or impact, and you can't pay your mortgage with your credit card. You can't pay your car note with your credit card. So there's a lot of for not some banks take it, but not every single bank takes it. And then again, that's if you even have that available credit. So just something to consider because I see a lot of times people have a job loss, or when they do find the next job, they may not make the same amount of money, and you may have to make the decision. So, but then again, that's usually one of the top reasons I see, or top signs that it's time to file for bankruptcy. And of course, that's a huge loss in income. The second sign that it's time to file for bankruptcy is, of course, if you're being sued. If you're being sued, from a different party, and now they're going after your assets. The problem is, of course, they're going after your assets because now all of your liquid is gone. And if you want to try to keep some of those items, then of course you have a few options. The good thing about bankruptcy is that you don't have to put your car in the bankruptcy. Then of course, bankruptcy in most cases is going to be income based. So if the court feels that you are in a financial position to actually start paying your bills, then they may force you to go into a Chapter 13, where it's pretty much a glorified payment plan. And of course, they've restructured the debt, and now you have lower monthly payments. But a lot of times you get to keep a lot of your assets and things of that sort. So, but just keep that in mind, because a lot of times people think like, well, I don't want to lose my car, just because I lost my job, or just because I'm filing bankruptcy. You don't have to, So of course, the payment history won't be reflecting like it used to, because now it's going through a lot more hands than it was before. But again, you're not forced to put that into the bankruptcy. So, but of course, if you're being sued and they're going after your assets, if you're out of liquid and things of that sort, it's probably the best thing to do so we can actually protect what you've worked so hard for. And things can happen. A lot of catastrophes happen, and that actually goes into the third reason or sign that it's time to file for bankruptcy. Of course, that's if you have a major expense or catastrophe that happens, and you're just not able to pay your bills. So there's a difference between being not able to pay and not wanting to pay. I'm starting to see too many people file for bankruptcy, and I'm just looking at their debt, and I understand how their income is. And a lot of people, they're just, they, not that they've given up, but it just seems like, there's the point, it's just an easier route to go for some people, when a lot of times they just don't want to pay somebody. And the banks, they see that. And that's exactly why most lenders won't give you a mortgage approval until 2 years after a bankruptcy. But there are a lot of situations in medically, or if there's most of the time it's going to fall into that medical range, or if there's usually kind of go into that lawsuit, like I said, if you're being sued. But I'll give an example. I had a client who had over $200,000 in medical bills, and they started to go after her. And they started to set up things where there was some wage garnishment, things of that sort. And you're talking, $200,000. I mean, she had just got a job making $40,000 a year. And of course, trying to pay student loans and all that. Now, of course, we know student loans, some student loans, most student loans cannot be, of course, dismissed in bankruptcy. But again, if they're private loans, then that's a completely different category. Because again, if they're private loans, there are some cases in which you can get that done, depending on, the situation and things of that sort. But for the most part, most people took out government issued loans, and those cannot be saved from the government, of course. So I know I get that question sometimes, but either way, my client, she had over $200,000 in medical bills, and they tried to go after her through wage garnishment. And of course, in a sense like that, it makes sense. I'm not saying that there are not, because there could have been, I would say there could be a lot of great reasons as to why people can file bankruptcy. But the top three that I've normally seen when it makes sense to do so are 3 signs, and you find yourself in one of these situations, that's a sign. And it may be time to start considering that. Again, it's not an easy process. They make it seem that way, especially on the radio stations, depending on what radio station you're listening to. But they're targeting a lot of different markets. They're targeting a lot of low-income markets, and they know that people would rather hear, oh, stop the collection company, stop the collection calls, and debt stoppers and all the rest of that stuff. They're not really stopping anything. They're just restructuring it. So, but here's another thing too, though. A lot of people try to go for the Chapter 7 where it completely wipes everything away. But again, a lot of it's income based. If they feel that you can, make those payments based on your income, then they're going to probably put you into that category of Chapter 13. Chapter 13 stays on your credit report for 7 years, and Chapter 7 stays on there for 10 years. The reason being is because Chapter 7, you haven't paid any, well, not that you're not paying anybody, but they wiped everything away, so they feel like, it's a plus, that they actually were able to do that. So on the back end, they're going to keep it on your record for 10 years. I get the question all the time, can you get a bankruptcy off a credit report? I've seen it done, but keep in mind, just credit report is not the end all be all. You still have LexisNexis, you still have the fourth credit bureau that's out there. It's right not at the top of my head now that I think about it, but there's a lot of other ways that people, it's still public information. If you put in your first name, your last name, people looking up TruePeopleSearch.com, people looking up truthfinder.com. There's so much stuff that's out there, and it's exposing a lot of people. So I mean, their information is still out there because it's still public information. So just keep that in mind. But those are the top 3 reasons, top 3 signs, that you need to file bankruptcy. Normally, based on what I've seen from my clients and a lot of people in the financial industry, it usually falls in that category. So, but again, if you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button. And if you know someone that's contemplating bankruptcy, but if you think that they're just trying to keep from paying their bills, and I'm not saying that that's not a good reason as well. But at the same time, why would you pay $1,500, $2,000 or whatever the cost is? It's usually around that amount, just not to pay $5,000 to $6,000, just to pay another high interest rate on your car again. I've met people in their 40s, their 50s, and 60s. They've never had good credit ever in their lives. They're used to paying high interest rates, and they think the easiest way out is just to keep filing bankruptcy. And but a lot of people, a lot of high income people, they file bankruptcy because they they can't pay all these people. It's not necessarily that they don't want to, but it just doesn't make the best financial sense. Versus some people, I've seen people in their 21, 2022 filing bankruptcy. I mean, just not to pay $3,000-$4,000. I mean, you're going to be in the same boat again because you haven't changed what your habits are. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next video I'm going to do. And that's going to be how to use the Dave Ramsey Auto Excel budget sheet. So, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. But if you guys know someone that can use this information, make sure you guys share it with them. Take care. Have a great day.